Thank you very much. It's always difficult to be the last speaker of the day because either all the people have left or there's nothing else to say. But you can be sure that I will be as vibrant as possible. And first of all, thank you to Ruchira and her collaborators, people like Juanita, Tiku, Khushbu, Manish, everybody else. Who are still here, and for having invited me, and congratulations for the second volume to the journal. Now, so I want to take from where Ruchira was talking about. Juanita said that when she was reading the editorial of Ruchira in the second volume of the journal, she talked about toxic masculinity in today's world, and I think that the word is too soft. I will go for penis politics, and which is because when we see Mr. Duterte of Philippines, Erdogan of Turkey, Donald Trump, and many others, Modi and many others, and I hope there aren't too many coming up. We see that actually the one thing which is missing, and you saw it with Mr. Trump and how he dealt with Merkel, actually, among statesmen. And I think what is missing, and I want to emphasize on that, is the idea of shared sovereignty. These men, they have no sense of what Gandhi actually talked about. He didn't mention the word. Actually, I'm the one who is mentioning it, and I mentioned it in my book. The idea of shared sovereignty, not absolute sovereignty, but shared sovereignty. Now, I think that when we talk about Gandhian inequality, the most important aspect is to understand that Gandhi's philosophical, social, political approach to the central values of human dignity and equality was very much related to his multi-centered, multi-layered view of politics, which was based on several premises. First of all, the epistemological premise that all knowledge is corrigible. This is what he calls the acid test of reason in many of his writings. Secondly, that all human beings see the world differently, and this is actually what we call the ontological basis of his multi-layered view of politics. And the moral view, thirdly, which all violence denies these fundamental facts, and we have to go towards non-violence, because if we do not have the absolute truth, we cannot impose it to others, so we have to practice non-violence. So I would say what specifies Gandhi is that he was a very cosmopolitan leader. He believed in form of inclusive nationalism, which is not what people believe today in India anymore. And this inclusive nationalism actually culminated in a very genuine idea of political Swaraj that explicitly disapproved all process of national, cultural, or religious superiority. And I think this is very important to know when we are talking about Gandhi. So his attraction to politics, his actually involvement, participation in politics was always went hand in hand with a moral obligation, with the epistemological necessity from the very beginning, even in South Africa, that we have to take our distance from all patterns of exclusion and inequality. And I think that his Satyagraha action all through his life left an ample ontological space for diversity and difference as we see it all through his writings and actions. So from this point of view, I think that Gandhi's mobilization of diverse female constituencies for his anti-colonial action and agenda extended to two powerful representations. First of all, the first representation is his representation of womanhood as the embodiment of nonviolence. Some people did talk about it in this conference. Secondly, his attempt to feminize Indian politics. Nobody talked about it as in depth, which is very important because this is good. This goes directly against, that's why I talked about penis politics. It goes against the male chauvinistic definition of politics and patriarchal values, actually. So this is very, very important, and Ruchira was referring to the spinning wheel and other practices which were considered for a long time in India as feminine, and they became with Gandhi nationalized, actually. He said, well, what the heck, this is not feminine at all, everybody's going to practice it. So there is no differentiation at all. Secondly, I think that he liberated political activism in India with its association with the masculine image of warrior. So people being engaged in politics were no more considered as warriors, you know, as we have it in the Indian epics or other places. And this was also, I think, something which is very, very important when we're talking about Gandhi. I think that Gandhi also understood that bridging the gap of inequality between men and women goes hand in hand with bridging the gap between the secular and the spiritual. And this also is very important in his approach to modern politics, and we see it in the constitution of India, of course, very, very important. So I would say that we should not consider Gandhi only as the leader of political revolution in India, but we have to consider him as the initiator and animator of revolution of values. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. later on talked about. He's my second hero, and I've been working on him too. There is a very clear influence on Gandhi on Luther King, and he talks in 1967, 1 year before he is assassinated, of revolution of values. America needs a revolution of values, he says, and God knows that America needs a revolution of values more than any time today, more than any time. And I hope that some Americans who are sitting in this room will be more active towards their own country. So I think that these are one of the aspects, and I think that also Gandhi understood when Ruchira was referring to spiritualization of politics, which Gandhi talks about, of course, and not politicization of religion, which is actually fundamentalism. In all its forms, Hindutva, IS, just name it. He was actually bringing close together, I think that the idea of sociability and not the idea of insecurity as we talk about all the time today. For him, it was idea of political economy related to the idea of sociability, which was much more important. And so what was important in the, I would say, in the mind of Gandhi is what I would call an ethics of empathy. His approach towards inclusion, his approach towards diversity, towards equality is what we can call an ethics of empathy. Ethics of empathy which is practiced against the rule of exclusion and inequality, but very much also practiced, I would say, against a Hobbesian view of politics or sovereignty, which, as you know, is based on fear, is based on what Hobbes called homini homini lupus. Homo homini lupus. A man is a wolf for another man. And this conception is completely out of Gandhi's mind, I would say. So to go very quickly, because I want to, we want to have a discussion, and I know that you're tired, I will get to my conclusion from here. My conclusions, I would insist on the conclusions after what I've said. First of all, I think though Gandhi is not a political theorist in the Western sense of the term, he had a political theory. his political theory was to fill in the gaps in the modern conceptualization of equality. And I wish that Mr. Piketty have also read Gandhi, which was not the case. And he died so by continually applying ethical standards to modern practices and institutions of politics, and that we know. And I think that we can say that in order to challenge the dependency of women on men, Gandhi challenged not only the cultural and structural violence in Indian society, but he also challenged the mainstream political ideas most forcefully here in this country and in the world, especially the idea of sovereignty. And this is the point that I make in my book, The Gandhian Moment, actually. And this is where I think Gandhi replaces male sovereignty by the idea of shared sovereignty. It's no more about male sovereignty, it's about shared sovereignty. So he demasculinizes the concept of modern politics, which is manifested in the idea of omnipotent sovereign, and that's why I mentioned Hobbes. This is he tries to tame the Hobbesian fear more and more, and this is where it becomes very, very important. And last but not least, the concept of equity for Gandhi is not merely a personal virtue, but a civic virtue. It's a civic virtue that needs to be cultivated on national and international scale. So I think that Gandhi was quite radical in urging equality in Indian society, even very often more than socialists and communists in India. And this is why I think that I will finish.
Sorry.
They are throwing us out.
So don't worry.
Yes. This is also one part of capitalism. So I would say, I would end by saying that his quest for equality actually is not just an ideal, and is more, I would say, a quest for dissent. And what is Gandhi? I'm becoming more and more convinced that we can read Gandhi and talk about Gandhi as a thinker of dissent in a world where we have less and less dissent, and yet we have more and more conformism. Thank you very much.